after a long hiatus. We thought with the terrorist attacks in France, it's time to talk a little international politics, and that is what we're doing today with this show. So today we're going to talk basically about France, ISIS, its beginnings, international terrorism in general, maybe try to prescribe plans for everything going forward. I'd like my guests to introduce themselves, starting with Justin Brown. Hi, Justin Brown. All right, and then Mr. Goldstein, if you'd like to use your real name on the air, that is your prerogative. I'll say that for the other. Yeah, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Justin Clark. I am in West Davenport, Iowa.
Nice. Yeah. What are your foreign policy credentials, sir?
Foreign policy credentials include watching the McLaughlin Group with.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I am a frequent reader of the Daily Beast, Politico, Still.com, and many other fine publications.
Fantastic. And you are educated in political science, correct?
Correct. I have a bachelor's degree in political science with a curriculum emphasis in political philosophy.
I love that you're sitting in front of an armchair.
Instead of sitting in the armchair. Yeah. But by the way, my name is Adam Vink. I am host and creator and bald bearded guy. And I am 2 classes short of a degree in political science.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Yeah. So I have some street cred as well. Although, yeah. And then all the way joining us from Texas. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Luis Godinez, and I'm from Texas. And I'm just here tonight representing the general public.
Goddamn right. That is exactly why we have you here. I love it too, man. It's fantastic. Yeah, man. Well, and Justin Brown here is also just an observer of things and a man with an opinion. So that's what this is all about. If anybody decides to join us along the way, we'll go ahead and introduce them as well. But we're just going to go ahead and hit it up. Justin, would you like to tell us about what happened in France? Put him on the spot.
Well, everybody knows what happened in France.
Right.
That's what we're here to talk about.
Sure. So yeah, if any of you have been,
where were you when
yeah, all right. Where were you? Will you always remember where you were when you found out about it? Either of you fellows have anything to throw in?
Oh, I heard that France attacked first, so I don't know about that.
Oh, all right. I like it. You're going to be excellent in this because, yeah, absolutely. France has been bombing ISIS in Syria. That's very true. And also, France has a long history with Syria. After World War I, of course, the Middle East was partitioned by France and Britain, and so France's sphere of influence in the Middle East has always been France and Lebanon, and so that is why there is definitely a connection between the two countries.
They were also saying, adding to that, they were also saying that they were running drills, and I don't know if maybe they had intelligence a day prior to the attack. So, I mean, who knows about that too,
So is it kind of like a 9/11 conspiracy idea that maybe they just were letting it happen to do it to allow that to happen so they could put whatever security measures in place or whatever? Are you trying to say it's a false flag operation kind of?
I'm saying that mainly. I'm saying that I feel like the big chess players, the ones that are at the very top, I mean, they must have some sort of knowledge or whatever about any of this. So I feel like they would go ahead and kind of like play both sides of the field, So it's kind of like makes sense for me that they would have some sort of intelligence on anything that's happening and just run something prior to that, just
What do
because
you,
you gotta have like you. It's not like you can keep anything as completely a secret. You know, you gotta also have you gotta give people something to believe into. Like you gotta give the skeptics their own share and the truthers their own share, and just tell them.
You got to give the masses what they want, huh?
Yeah, because in kind of like how Family Guy said it, you know. I mean, obviously we know that Family Guy is based on comedy, but if there's anything I learned is that behind every joke there's a little bit of truth. And Family Guy said that, well, of course the people are gonna think that it was the government, but the people can't prove it, or it's not like everybody's gonna go ahead and overthrow it. It's like the government doesn't care. It's like because at the end it's just the government that wins. So.
All right. All right. No, no, it's interesting because I mean, I know Justin Clark talks a lot about government dependency and how it is a tool of control. And I mean, I'm studying. I'm taking a class on authoritarian politics right now, and I mean, there definitely is a tendency that if you have a weak grip on the control of the people or whatever, you can at least manipulate incidences like this. Do you have anything you would like to add to that?
Um, well, certainly, it just seems like history we just keep repeating it, and history repeats itself. So
Now, how about you, Justin Clark? What I mean, what about kind of to what I just said there?
a lot of false flags attacks and a lot of reasons to believe or at least ask questions. I mean, like you have all the proof in front of you and all the evidence, but at the end of the day, you can't just outright go ahead and say, "Oh, well, it was the government." You just all you have to do is just at the best or at least say or ask questions, you know.
Oh no, it is our job to ask questions every time. Absolutely, you can't just take the government line. So, Justin Clark in Davenport, would you like to chime in on any of the previous discussion here?
Well, there were Department of Defense papers that were leaked at, I don't know if it was recently or like within the last couple months, suggesting that the U.S. did support or at least wanted to help out a Sunni Muslim group to help overthrow Assad in Syria. So
Sure, no, that's yeah.
there's at least some like suggestion out there that initially the U.S. wanted a group like ISIS to exert its influence in the region. So it's not really too far-fetched to make the leap and say that we would have at least somebody knew something about some kind of attack happening. France does have a long, like at least 100-year history in that region, but it also, I mean, it goes back way back to the time of the Moors and everything, moving into Southern Europe as well. Like Muslims have gone back and forth into Europe for 1,000 years, 1,500 years. But I mean, I definitely saw I saw all that stuff about how like the French intelligence and German intelligence knew that it was going to happen, and I mean, I definitely wouldn't be surprised about it. I think there's intelligent agents like all over every major city in the world from multiple countries. So to think that nobody knew anything is a little far-fetched.
Go ahead, Justin.
so yeah, I don't think that it wasn't a matter of. I don't think it was a matter of that they knew something was going to happen and didn't act on it. I definitely think in this case we probably were observing, the activities of different people who they suspected might be involved in this, but it's a situation where they didn't know exactly what they were cooking up, and they were watching and waiting to see, just like we were probably doing pre 9/11. We knew what's going on, kind of, but not really. And when it happens, yeah, I don't think that. Bottom line, that there was any foreknowledge, maybe just like suspicion. Does that make sense?
And let's not forget that these people were French and Belgian nationals. They were not they weren't they weren't Syrians. They were French nationals. They were people who were living in France legally, so they had constitutional protections, and so they might have been on lists and they might have been watched, but doesn't mean that they necessarily had the ability to stop those people from doing whatever they wanted just based on their citizenship. And it's the same thing that could happen here. I mean, if you really want to look at people who might commit acts of terror against the United States, I think citizens are some of the scariest. Does that mean we should crack down on citizens? No, I mean, absolutely not. We just need to be, you know, careful, I guess. I don't know. Are you giving the shocker over there?
No.
I wouldn't. Anyway, all right. So we've done a little bit about the history, and
I don't think we really.
no. Do you want to go all the way back to the Crusades? Because that's, I mean, Justin brought that up, and right.
I guess you're getting into like the.
Sounds like
Like the root of what's going on is rooted all the way back to the Cold War, is it not?
I'd say colonialism, but
Well, I mean, when the Prophet Muhammad came along back in 600 AD and said everything before this was bunk, like that's kind of, I mean, you can go all the way back to that, or you could go back to when the Muslims tried to take over Spain and France and got kicked out, or you could go, or I guess before that during the Crusades, after that when they tried to go into Europe. Thomas Jefferson fought the Muslims in the Barbary Wars back in like 1803 or 06 or something.
They were pirates, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, same deal though. I mean, like if you go back and read all that stuff, it's like there was always like religious precepts to all of it, and I don't know. I mean, it's been going on for. I would just go all the way back to 600 AD because really, like the whole time since then, there's been like strife in that region between the religions, you know. And I think the current conflict though, like since World War I, the people that have led all of those countries one way or another have been manipulated by foreign powers. So all of the sectarian conflict that has happened in the last 100 years is sort of like a result of that.
That's okay. Then we agree.
All right. Yeah. You can make a case for it going back further, but yeah.
But in the immediate sense.
Well, you're talking about if you want to talk about. See, I don't consider it an Islamic problem because that the Levant was always a place of warfare. If you go back to, like, you know, you want to talk about the Assyrians and fighting the Egyptians and fighting the Babylonians and the people of Anatolia, like.
Everywhere.
What I'm just trying to say is that, I mean, you want to talk about sectarianism and strife. This has always been, Syria has always been the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa. And there's always been conflict there, and unless it's being controlled by a large empire, which is what happened during the Ottoman Empire. It's actually one of the few times that there was peace in this area was when the Ottoman Empire was there, which was an Islamic empire, but they allowed Christians and Jews to freely practice if they paid what they called a jizya, which is like a 10 jizya. Like the genius, which is a 10% tax that you would pay for not being a Muslim, considering that tithing was, you know, mandatory amongst them. You were just basically being charged the same amount as you would be if you were sending it to a mosque, but instead you were giving it to a government. So the Ottoman Empire allowed the Syria to be peaceful for the few years, well, a few hundred years that it was around. Well, and of course the Pax Romana also would have done that. So that's the only time it's ever been that way, though. It's just always been a place of conflict, and here we are once again. Sorry, soapbox. History soapbox. Yeah. Anywho's.
World War III to me.
What's that?
Like, it smells like World War III to me.
I don't want it to be, but it could be. And I mean, that could be the repercussions. Go ahead. Oh, you're counting down the wars.
War never changes.
Well, I mean, a lot of people think that we're on World War like V by now because you could talk about the French and Indian War, which was the 7 Years' War, was a world war. You can talk Napoleonic Wars were world wars. World War VI, just like that. So there were other terrorist attacks that have been taking place recently. Most recently was the attack in Mali, which is not related to ISIS. But a lot of people think that maybe they would have gotten their inspiration to attack when they did from ISIS. That's kind of the thing. Plus, it's an Al-Qaeda affiliate, and we're not done with Al-Qaeda. Let's not forget. There's places where Al-Qaeda is really strong. And it's...
I'm doing video chat. These are my friends. Come in and say hi.
Hey, is there any way I can link my girlfriend to this video?
My webcam there.
Send me the link.
Yeah, hey.
Oh,
What up?
All right, Louis, yes, you can send your girlfriend a link. Go to...
Thailand.
Wait, just go to the top of your bar and you can copy and paste it and throw it on Facebook or something like that, dude.
Oh, man.
Okay.
You just need the internet.
All right. Yeah. If you want to drop out of the conversation, we're going to be on the air hopefully for another 40 minutes. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that, man.
Which bar was it? The one that I have to click?
Oh shit! You're on a phone, so that's kind of hard.
Aren't you like streaming this over YouTube or something, over a channel?
It is streaming to YouTube. If she wants to watch it, what you can do, go to YouTube, and then.
So these guys like to do this on Sunday nights at 8:30. We did.
Yep. Hey.
We just.
Hi.
Hey. Introduce yourself.
My name is Gig. So I'm living in Davenport as well. But
Okay.
I'm from Thailand.
Right on.
I was born and raised in Thailand, and I've been in the States for
In Thailand?
14 years. Yeah. 13.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the United States?
I said 13 years.
So a long time.
13. Long enough.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No.
I used
How
to
do you
live
feel
in
about
Iowa
it?
City.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I used to live in Iowa City.
I live in Iowa City. He lives in Iowa City.
We're in Iowa City.
We're live from Iowa City.
Yeah, I was survived there for a while.
Oh, it is Luis going to be his girlfriend?
Yeah. Survive is what you do. Yeah.
Which one,
I
Louis?
think we're witnessing him messing around with his phone while the video is not live.
Yeah. I think he's fucking with his phone. He might be able to hear this entire conversation.
It's messing up your video feed.
Here you
It
go.
is a little bit.
I need to go back. Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, do that, dude. Well, we'll be on the air for a while, man. Come back.
All right, for sure.
All right. So, I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Gig, like a band. Like, you got a gig? Like concert?
Yeah, right on. All right, Gig.
Yeah,
I
gig.
forgot my question. Oh, how do you feel about international politics? That's what we're talking about today.
I missed the whole conversation. I
Yeah,
well, that's okay.
I didn't know what you did before.
the Paris attacks.
Oh, that's sad. I have some relative in France too. So,
Okay.
but they're okay. They live further down south. So like, yeah, they live
Like Marseille or someplace like that.
Lyon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
those, yeah.
And
Okay.
I have some Thai friend who visiting their family in Thailand and they can't go back to France right now. Every flight is canceled.
Yeah.
She just like kind of want to hang out in Thailand for a while until she makes sure the flight's no problem. So she will.
It's smart. I mean, if you're talking about returning to France, then yeah, you know, that's what I would do too. Be chill, you know, better safe than sorry. Abundance of caution.
She's just
Because
what about the Muslims in South Thailand?
there's always problem. Like the 3 provinces now, like the boarding by the border, like it's between like Thailand and Malaysia. They're always like killing each other.
yeah,
We never really have any problem with them, but once in a while, you know, like, but there's always news, like breaking news on TV. But like, you know, it's very laid back and easygoing over there in Thailand. But there's a lot of breaking news. I don't get it. But there's certain area that you shouldn't really go visit. You know, like those 3 provinces, they have Muslim fighting. They have bomb but yeah, they're killing. They kind of fight between like military and the gangster. I think it's all about the drug dealing.
Drug dealing?
Mhm.
yeah. Right on. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was enlightening. Yeah, I actually, for whatever reason, didn't know that there were Islamic, you know, Muslims in the south of Thailand. So that, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there's Muslims pretty much everywhere. But it's like,
Yeah, I have
luckily.
friends. They are Muslim or Islamist, but they live in Bangkok. There's a girl, but like they kind of have sarcastic about Buddhism on Facebook all the time. Sometimes I kind of can't hold them with comments. Yeah.
That's rude.
Stop with your phone.
Yeah. The Islam is like, it seems like they don't have any harm. They just like, you know, express their the social network. You don't understand life. It's like that, you know, like I'm like, okay.
Please stop fucking with your phone.
I'm like, you don't get it, why?
Wow.
Don't
Wow.
don't you
What the fuck, dude?
pay 5 times a day, I bet. Yeah.
So if there's anybody, I see that we have one viewer out there. If there's anybody viewing this, we're really sorry. There are technical difficulties that are taking place because of the long-haired gentleman over in the far left-hand corner has been fucking with his phone. And so our apologies that hardly any of that came through. Yeah, that stinks. Because that was interesting.
But I have something to do in the kitchen, so nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. So I think we've stabilized our technical issue, I hope. So we should talk a little bit about the fact that we have politicians in this country that are acting like we got attacked. And I understand this. I do, like, but how much of this is political posturing? I mean, we're always under threat of attack, and we should be vigilant against it. But I mean, does this mean that we need to put boots on the ground? Do we need to make this our issue? Is the question.
I don't know, because the Assad, which is the non-Sunni president of Syria, is backed by Russia and really by Iran
Yes.
and China as well. So
True.
it really is shaping up. I mean, I don't think full-scale war is going to break out. Like, I'm optimistic, and I think that the world is intermingled enough economically and diplomatically to where, like, we're not gonna see another World War II, at least not over something like this. But at the same time, like, if you go into Syria, you risk sort of being on the opposite side of it all. But what's weird about it is, on the one hand, if we're against Assad, then you're also against Russia. But on the other hand, Russia is against ISIS, and we're against ISIS. So there's actually like a diplomatic opportunity to sort of come together in a way.
Well, absolutely. And that's the thing is that we do have common. We have a common enemy.
Yeah.
Since when are we against ISIS? I thought that
It's.
the U.S. created.
I think. Technically. We have been bombing ISIS targets. Let's just get that out there. I mean, if we're supporting, aiding, and abetting them, we're also killing a fuckload of them while we're doing it. So we are definitely playing both sides of the coin. If you want to say that we're in bed with ISIS,
I'm sure that we installed Assad's dad back in the day too, and now we're against him.
Well, where we were against him butchering his own people who were fighting for their for democracy. I mean, essentially, it was Arab Spring protests. He decided that he was going to take, his army and kill his civilians with it. Let's not forget that part of the equation. Now, and he also we proved that he used he used poison gas on rebels, on cities, on populations of people. And so, yeah, I mean, we had a right to say, hey, we need to go after this guy. But at the same time, Russia, being who they are and having a base on the Mediterranean in Syria, they're going to support their guy. And, yeah. And you're right to say that he's not Sunni, he is an Alawite. And that is the reason why ISIS wants him dead. This whole idea of an Islamic State is not a new one. Back in the 60s and 70s, it was in the 60s that Egypt and Syria actually became one country, the Islamic State of Egypt and Syria. It didn't last long; it only lasted 2 years. But this is not a new idea, and the idea of an Islamic caliphate is also not a new idea. So that's what they use for their recruiting and for their ideology, kind of.
Have you guys seen the movie The Water Finder? Was that the name of it?
No.
I know, I've not seen The Water Finder.
With Russell Crowe.
Explain why this is relevant.
Well, he goes. Russell Crowe's a dude who finds water with a stick or whatever down in Australia.
Yeah, like divining.
Yeah, exactly. With a divining rod. And his two sons went to go fight in World War I, up in Turkey or whatever, and they ended up dying. But he goes to Turkey to find their bodies, basically. But the whole movie kind of takes place in post World War I Turkey, and there's it sort of illuminates the fight between the Turkish nationalists and the Ottomans and all that. It's not really relevant to the
yeah, sure,
but it kind of is.
No, yeah, with Kemal Ataturk or whatever, or that became his name. But yeah. No, it's very interesting. I mean, I sometimes wish that Turkey had more of a role in the Middle East, but they're always trying to play. They're always trying to play Europe. And that kind of excludes them from the Middle East discussion, but they really are always the adults in the room. And it's a shame that, yeah. So it's a nice cousin it look you've got going on. I didn't know you're like. Are you graying? Is that what's going on there? Like it's or is that blonde? Yeah, you fuckers in your long hair, like.
Well, hair is a blessing, man. It's a blessing that only few men know about.
Yeah, yeah. I used to be able to do it.
I've been growing my hair for a year now. Just a year.
Yeah. All right. So back to the original question: is this a political football that's worth using? Are people going to give a shit about terrorism in a year if there's no further attacks?
Well,
Who's that?
so somebody have or something. Well, I just think that, like, if, like you know, the gentleman said that we're in a very evolved world and we're interconnected and intertwined. So I feel like if they don't have a reason, you know, they're gonna give us a reason. They're gonna provoke us. I feel like they're just gonna keep knocking on the door until the devil answers. If they want it bad enough, they're gonna get it. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And with and the United States just keep sending in troops and more troops and more troops. They're just it's just a keg. It's just a powder keg that is just gonna go ahead and explode one day or something.
If we have boots on the ground, it's true. We paint targets on our own backs. So the question is, you know, they always say, do you want to take, you know, do you want the war to take place over there, or do you want it to happen over here? But at the same time, if we didn't have boots on the, I mean, if we have boots on the ground, they're going to take us to the war there as well. Yeah. Justin, you got anything to throw at that? Either?
What does Justin Brown have to say?
Yeah, cousin it. Let's hear it.
We're all waiting, Justin. Give it to us, right? In your own words.
Yeah. What is your take, man? Like, yeah, any of it. Just anything that we haven't talked about yet that you would like to talk about.
Good question. I feel like Russia's making a play,
right,
based on this scenario, to make the West look sort of dumb, particularly the United States. I think they know that the only real way out of the scenario is to back regimes that we have been opposing.
Since 2011.
Yeah. And, I don't know.
It's normally better than this.
It is. We're rusty as shit. So, yeah.
I just think that the geopolitics of this scenario is really intriguing, and that we have a lot of major powers sort of using this Islamic terrorism as a sort of platform for their ideologies. Common enemy and all that, like, they're doing what they're doing, but the rest of the nations are playing it to suit their geopolitical needs.
So Russia's using it as a way to make themselves a world player, is essentially what he's saying, which is Russian foreign policy. They want to be relevant. They want to make sure that the United States isn't the only one calling all the shots. They want to base on the Mediterranean, so they prop up Assad, and Russia holds all the cards in this, though. And I think it is interesting that You said you're sitting around and watching. You're waiting for the West to fuck up, essentially.
No, I'm not saying I'm waiting for
No. That's what Russia's doing. Is waiting for the West to get into the quagmire. But at the same time, they're the ones in the quagmire. They're the ones with ground troops in Syria at this point. So, I mean, it's kind of like trying to have it both ways.
Not the petrodollar's falling. That's why we're going ahead and all out
this destruction. They like you.
Yeah. What was that?
Well, I was saying, like the dollar is backed by the petroleum, so China and Russia quit the dollar, and the reason why we went ahead and invaded Iran and all those countries is because they went ahead and decided that they wanted to build a currency away from the dollar so that they were going to sell their petroleum on other currencies. So that took some leverage off the United States on that country. So they went ahead and just invaded and made up all these stories about this country, the weapons of mass destruction. So later on, right now, they're just gonna, like Russia and China already are backing away from it, from the dollar. So if anything, the petrodollar will fall, and the big player is just gonna either go all out or just wait. But it's very hard to believe that the United States is gonna back away from it. I don't know.
Yeah.
My take on it.
Mr. Clark, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Well, probably not much is going to change for the next year. I think if anything changes, it will happen after the election based on whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. I think you can see it. There will be a change in our foreign policy tone if a Republican gets in. I think if a Democrat gets in and it's Hillary Clinton, there might be a little bit. It'll be a slightly different than Obama's policy, which is Obama kind of has a don't do anything policy in a way. I mean, he has a policy of diplomacy. Like, he wants to talk to everybody, but like he kind of just wants to not do much of anything in a way. Like, if it could somehow be all resolved by like talking, or like he wants to do that, but he's not really beyond talking. He's not really going to do anything because he's sort of like a bring the troops home, non-intervention, legacy kind of a person. So as long as he's in there, nothing's really going to happen.
Well, exactly. That is what he campaigned on. He said that he said, I'm going to bring the troops home. We're not going to get involved in this shit anymore. And for those reasons, strong us in a way. Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Care pretty easily. Well, it wouldn't have taken a large ground force to maybe it, because it is a very low populated country that has been under a dictatorship for a long time. By creating, it's actually the opposite of Iraq, where you had 80 million people. In Libya, you had 7 million people and 2 cities, and so it would have been pretty easy to have actually gone into Libya and liberated them the proper way. Instead, we had to do a limited war where we take out Gaddafi, and we did that. We got that done, but at the same time, we let a power vacuum in instead, and that is, you know, I mean, that's so much worse. You just ask the wrong people to join in at that point. And so, yeah, I mean, as much as I support good diplomacy, I have to say that being principled has definitely made the Obama administration so they won't. And everybody knows that we're not going to commit ground troops. They know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said that Assad has to go, and if he uses chemical weapons, that's the red line. And he used chemical weapons, and then nothing happened. So then... Through an intervention of Russia. Russia was going to forbid us from doing it through the UN, and so we kind of, I mean, yeah, we backed down because. But then they ended up going in. So, like Russia plays the long game. So, I mean, you look at what they're doing now, and it's setting. They're looking to set themselves up for the next several years. So, why are they in there now, and what do they want 5 years from now? That's the question.
I think they want influence in the region. They want influence over the international conversation, and they want their base.
They're helping to solidify a bloc that stretches from Iran to the Mediterranean, a Shia-led or Shia-dominated bloc.
I would argue that they're trying to not to make it so the U.S. isn't closer to their borders. Actually, that you're right that they're creating a buffer zone is essentially what they're trying to do. But they see if they see American troops on the ground in Syria, they see us in yet another place 200 miles away from their border, and they're paranoid. They think that we're going to overthrow them. They have this paranoia still from the Cold War.
Are we going to?
Why not? Let's do it. Nah. Just solve all the world's problems, man. Fucking unipolar world. Just be number one. Just be America.
I mean, if there's anything that history books teach us is that America has always been intervening into, like, toppling off bad governments or putting their democracy or whatever. Supposedly, they have that, I don't know, it's even a policy, you know, to go ahead and help the little guy, supposedly. But I don't know.
It's a pretty recent policy because we used to prop up guys like the reason why Hosni Mubarak was in power in Egypt for 30 years is because we made him be in power for 30 years. You know, like a lot of dictators got their legitimacy by getting everything from the United States. You know, funding, support, training, everything. And that was our policy forever. It's like a dictator is better than a communist. So we'll go ahead and go with the dictator. Well, we supported fascism all over the globe for 50 years. Yeah, and then 2011 comes around, and we got, all of a sudden, everybody's got a big heart. You know, and that's good. I mean, I'm glad that our better angels came to us, but it was an incomplete foreign policy. You were our friend until the public opinion turned against you, and then you weren't our friend anymore. And it has created a mess.
If you look at that as a continuation of that policy, though. Like, we supported all those dictators for 30 years, and then they kind of came to the end of the line, so then we started to support different factions. But really, that was just a different piece of the same, of the same policy of us controlling the governments of those countries.
Yeah.
What do you think, Justin Brown?
In your own words, please.
You're on the spot again, buddy. All right.
Which topic should we talk about? I don't even know where we're at in the conversation.
All right. So let's just break it down for people at home. The one person watching. Travis Heflin. Let's break it down for Travis Heflin. ISIS exists because there was a vacuum, and there's always been a love for an Islamic State. A want, a desire by certain people, a caliphate. And people have taken the power vacuum of Western Iraq and Eastern Syria and have turned it into a pseudo-country. What they actually control is basically a desert wasteland with a few cities of northern Iraq under their control and a few other what are basically desert oasis way stations, places along the highway from another point to another point. But they do control the corridors of those places. The Iraqi army doesn't want to doesn't want to do anything with those corridors. They don't go into those cities. They know that they shouldn't do that. The same goes for eastern Syria. It is an ISIS stronghold. You don't go in there if you're either the Free Syrian Army or the Syrian government. It's just not a place where you operate. People who do go in there and operate find themselves beheaded, burned, drowned, whatever sort of torture that you want to say. The thing is that it is only a force of 30 or 40,000 people. They do have military expertise because they took the generals from the old Iraqi army and made them top people in the caliphate. So there is a level of military expertise on the ground that allows such a small force armed with machine guns, 30 calibers, RPGs, whatever, and pickup trucks to be able to control such a vast area. They fund themselves through oils that they have in northern Iraq, former Kurdish oil facilities that are now under them. They have to sell their oil via tanker truck. They don't have pipeline capabilities or anything like that. So they are vulnerable on several fronts, but the thing is that... All right. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this is a very doable thing, and it's I think what the best strategy that we could come up with is to allow the Middle Eastern countries to come up with a coalition of their own to root out this problem that's in their backyard, to face it head on, and have to deal with the repercussions themselves. That's my personal opinion. If you want to actually create a solution for the problem, you make it a regional solution, and you start making that the United States policy. Everything is a regional solution. We have regional players who aren't necessarily in the back pocket of anybody anymore. Iran, we could empower a new Iran that's cooperative with the Western world. We can, the Iraqi army can become something, and the Iraqi government can become something if they get rid of ISIS. They're now old. They're now a 12-year-old government, so they're starting to kind of learn how to control the things that they can control. Saudi Arabia should be a major player. The only country that has a legitimate standing government at this point that shouldn't play a role is Israel. Israel should be insulated from the whole thing. I'd like to hear if you guys have any sort of reaction to what I just said.
Justin Brown, what do you think?
In your own words, please.
So, I feel like Muslims, right? What, that kind of meaning?
What? All right. So, on that note,
Well,
would anybody like to say a final word? I think that this episode has definitely run its course.
I think we're already at World War III, so I don't know what you guys think.
World War III.
World War III. World War III. I look forward to a very good television war.
The big thing I take away from all of this is that when you look back in history, the precursor events to major things like World War I or World War II, you see these big culture clashes or whatever, like what, unbelievable. And I look at it as I don't know. I really worry about the potential armed conflict between us and essentially the rest of the world.
So you think that there's a danger that we'll find ourselves on the wrong side of a major war where everybody just says, fuck America?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I don't see it, but all right.
I'm talking like...
No, Israel. Israel was America's side.
Think about the geopolitical landscape 50 years from now in terms of where America's at right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually are in a better position to handle climate change than a lot of other countries. We have a vast interior that's underpopulated. So, No, no, I'm just trying to say. You said try to imagine what the geopolitical landscape is 50 years from now, and I just did. We're going to be fighting over water. We're going to be fighting over food. In 50 years, those are the things we're going to have to worry about.
I don't know. Every major country in the world has declining populations and declining birth rates. Like we could be at a peak population situation right now.
Well, they say that almost no matter what we do, we will reach 10 million people. But you're right. The population increase has declined considerably.
Yeah, every major country a lot of countries have negative birth rates.
Most of Europe is in negative.
Russia's in a negative birth rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Middle East is like ballooned, but as
this next generation isn't reproducing as fast as the ones before it.
Yeah. The major cause of food shortage is government, not lack of ability to grow food. I mean, there's way more food getting away than used.
I've also seen data that says that only authoritarian type regimes have famine. That democracies find ways to feed themselves.
I think there's plenty of food and plenty of space. I mean, Earth, there's only so much room, obviously, and there's only so much resources. But I think the humans' ability to invent new solutions and also the ability to gain resources from outside of Earth will ultimately make it so that we don't have to have any kind of like catastrophic crash.
Yeah. I agree there is a way forward. I just think that we have to really focus on finding that way forward very soon and do it. I mean, it's a matter of doing it at this point. And do we have the will to do it as a people? So, all right. Well, it's close enough to being done, I think. You got something else to say?
No.
All right. Anybody else got anything else to say?
Have you guys ever seen Interstellar?
I've not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That movie where like the last.
I'm sorry. Hang on just a second. We're going to end the broadcast, and then we can talk about Interstellar when we stop. So anybody out there watching, hi. Anybody watch us after on YouTube, please. We'll make more of these, and they'll be better.
Justin Brown's going to talk.
Yeah, let's hope so next time. Next time. We can hope. He did all this research, too. He did all this research for this show. All right, so peace out, XTV. Word. All right, next time.